This is Charm's Canadian Love Map, the show that uncovers incredible Canadian love stories.
Tell people you love them. If we all amplify the love that we have, we can really change the world around them.
I love love.
Hi, I'm Nancy Regan, your host. And thanks to Charm Diamond Centers, we've spent nearly 10 seasons sharing the stories that shape us. This season, we're digging even deeper, chasing the spark behind every connection. The unexpected reunions, the little moments, and the bold leaps of faith.
In order to have world peace, or even a thought of it, we all have to work together.
Books don't have limitations. They don't care, how old you are. They don't care what your job is. They don't care what your employment situation is. Like, books are just for people who love to read, and you can connect with people on that level. And so I want to find a way to kind of grow that within the store and have it be a space where it's about the books.
Hi, Erica. Welcome to the Canadian Love Map podcast.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me. I am so excited to be here.
I gather you're also pretty excited about books.
I think that's putting it mildly.
Are you obsessed with books? What's the word you would choose?
Yeah, I think it depends on the books. Like, there are books I read that I like them. There are books I read that I love. And there are books that I read that I absolutely just ramble to any person who has read it. So it really just depends on the book, I think.
Yeah. So when did this relationship of yours with books really kindle? Excuse the pun. I didn't mean to say that.
Pun. It's been a lifelong thing for me. So I was that kid that would sit at home at our little bookshelf and read every book over and over and memorize the words. Then as I hit kind of adolescence, the books got bigger. But same concept. I've always loved reading it. Definitely fiction for sure. I love a good, fantasy book. I always loved things that were magical or crazy. And then as I got older, I really liked the romance element within the books as well. So I've always read, and I had a short hiatus when I had my children, because any parent knows, but when you have your first child, you can't get it together. And then I had two more. So there was a little bit of a gap there, and I missed it so much. And so when I got back into it about roughly 2 years ago, that's when things really took off for me, and I felt more connected to books than ever.
Do you remember the first romance novel you read?
That's a good question, because I read a lot of romantasy. So that word gets thrown around a lot, but essentially romantasy is a romance book, but there's something kind of abnormal in it. So that could be dragons, that could be queens and kings, anything that's kind of outside of the realm of everyday life. So for me, if we're talking the first romantasy I read that I really loved, that would have to be Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros, which is very popular. It's kind of a war college with dragons. But if we're talking strictly romance, then that would be a tough decision for me. But I gotta say, I have been really deep into Game Changers right now by Rachel Reed, and I love that book. I recently finished another Canadian author's book, Bryn Donovan. She wrote her time-traveling Duke, which is about bringing a Duke from 1818 to current day. So I definitely like little elements of humor within my romance books for myself, but I read a lot of romantasy as well.
So why are romantasies game changers for you? I'm leaning into the puns now.
Yeah, I love this. So for me, I think it's because, like a lot of people, reading is an escape for me. So I don't find it relaxing to read about two people going through relationship problems that I've had in my life. So I like to be taken somewhere else, right? Yeah. For me, for it to be an ultimate break, it needs to be things that aren't going on in the real world, things that haven't or aren't impacting me. And that's a personal choice as a reader, but I like the escape to be very far-fetched.
Okay, so you have chosen your own kind of romantasy in life by starting this bookstore, not even in a downtown core, where you are dealing with real hard copy books at a time when a lot of people are leaning into live streaming. And even if they're reading, they're doing it online somehow or on a Kindle. Why did you think this was a good business idea?
You know what? We are super new, but I came into this with no expectations, but a lot of hopes. And those hopes were that number one, my demographic who I'm trying to find are people who love books and don't want something transactional. So when people come into my store, if you talk to customers, you'll hear it, but I talk to everyone about every book and we yap for a long time. So it's about coming in, it's about hanging out, it's about starting to build a community with bookish events. So it's doing all these things to make the bookstore more of a hub and more of a space and less of just a store. And so I think I'm hoping that even people who e-read might come in and get a cool, decoration or a book counter to hang on their bookshelf to talk about how many books they have read online. Maybe somebody's going to come in who needs a new case for their Kindle. Maybe somebody's going to come in that wants a hard copy book as a trophy of a book they loved. So my goal is to kind of have things that reach all different types of readers, whether it's audio, whether it's an e-reader, whether you're an in-person book reader, or maybe you go to the library, but there's that one book you really loved and you want a copy of it. And my goal is to reach all of those people.
So I love what you said about building community. And it sounds to me like what your business is really built on is the idea of human connection.
It absolutely is. I think there's something really magical about looking around you and seeing how many different people are reading the same books as you. I'm sure it's happened to you because it happens to me a lot where you go out and you start seeing someone's book cover and it's a book that you love. And you can't help but interrupt them and be like, I'm so sorry, but I loved that book. And so in the year kind of before opening, I started seeing people reading the same books I was reading. Everywhere I went, I met a girl on the beach and now we're friends. She came to my book club. I've met people in malls and just see them with those books. And so it has reminded me that books don't have limitations. They don't care, how old you are. They don't care what your job is. They don't care what your employment situation is. Books are just for people who love to read and you can connect with people on that level. And so I want to find a way to kind of grow that within the store and have it be a space where it's about the books. It's not about the politics. It's not about the things happening in the world. It's not about anything other than the story you read or the story you're going to read.
It sounds like you are driven by purpose because I can't help but think of this age we're going through. Going through seems like the right phrase. We are, we're in a strange world these days. And as connected as we all are online, we seem to be more disconnected than ever. And you are offering people an escape from that disconnection even.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think people are so connected online, but that's not a genuine human connection, right? So people are so connected online. And on top of that, the world is in a crazy, chaotic state right now. And you turn on the TV, you look on social media, it's stressful, it's disheartening. Then we obviously have the things going on within our own country and our own province. So when you think about all those things going on, some people just really need to take a step back and take a breath. And that's what these books give people. They give you a break, they give you a change of scenery. And so then it's really special to be able to connect with people about that. Because when you're talking about books, there's not a whole lot of space to be, mean to each other. Or there's not a whole lot of space for animosity. It really is just, I love this book. I loved it too. Or, oh, I didn't love that book, but I really liked this book. And so there's just so much room for kindness, for connection, for things that I feel like people really, really need right now.
Have you had any particular moments with customers? And I think you might have to find a different word than customers because it sounds like what you're building here doesn't really support that word. It's so much more than that. It's like your followers or something. Any particular moment where you've had a moment with a customer or a follower, a member of your community that has just shown you that, yes, I'm on the right path?
So many moments. Not only is it just daily connections, I have people come in and share with me how books have brought them out of, some problems they were having. I've had people share that books saved them. I've had people share that books are their happy place. I've had people share that books inspired them to change a career path or do something brave and new. So for me, I get that every single day. And that's why I love it so much because it shows me that There's just endless connections to be made. There's endless friendships to make. And they're customers, but they're not. I call them my bookish besties a lot of the time, but the connections are so amazing. And I mean, like any new business, there are going to be times too where you get like negativity. Like you do get a bad review, you get a bad comment online. And so I've had to learn to navigate that because I'm new and, my skin isn't thick enough yet. But my customers were there with so much like love and support and just being like, it's okay. Like not everyone's going to love what you're doing, but most people are. And so just even seeing people flip that script to love in that scenario, I'm so grateful. Like I have the absolute best patrons, we'll call them, the best book besties. I am so grateful. And the support I get every single day it leaves me speechless sometimes.
I come from a background in TV where I learned the hard way that you are never going to have everyone like you or approve of you. You just have to accept that. And as soon as you step into a public sphere, as you are, it's part of the game that there are going to be detractors, especially these days. And sometimes people need to be negative. And if you are in the way, then they'll be negative about you.
Yeah, I've learned that. And, the thing too is that when I go online, I don't go on to spread hate. It's just not me. If I don't like a business, I'm going to reach out to them and say, hey, I had an experience that wasn't great. If I didn't like a book, I just don't recommend that book. I'm not going to go on and bash the author. Like that's just how I operate on a regular basis. But I'm learning now that not everybody sees it that way, and that's okay. But I'm going to keep doing things my way, and I'm going to keep kind of pushing forward with my mom always said, if you have nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all. And, that's how I try to do things. So I just accept that not everybody's going to follow that pattern, but the majority of the people who come in the store come in with love. They leave with love. They are so happy to be here. And that makes me sure that I've made the right decision.
And I gather you're not just connecting your patrons, but also connecting them to authors. Tell me about your project to bring in the writers of these books.
Yeah, so I basically pester authors. It's my side gig. I love, love, love being able to do special things for my customers. So one of the things that I try to do is connect with the authors and get special items if I can. So we've had some amazing results from authors saying, hey, you're doing our book for book club. I'm going to send you some signed book plates, or I'm going to send you some artwork. And it's so crazy because I'm like, they don't care about me. I'm a tiny little blip on the map, but they really do. These authors genuinely appreciate bookstores. And I think when you're coming into the market as an independent bookstore, it's tough. It's really tough. Like I will never be able to, discount a book as well as Amazon. I'm never going to be able to, do these big box sales all the time. So what we lack in, that sales volume, we make up for with the experience, right? So that's kind of what we're trying to achieve. And so connecting with authors and doing these special things is just one of the ways that I try to set us apart. And so obviously I've had incredible luck, especially with the gracious and kind Rachel Reed, who is coming to do a book signing at our store on January 18th. It's insane. People are like, how did this happen? And I'm like, I can't take the credit. It was Rachel. She reached out to me, sharing that she was excited that I exist and that she wanted to come and do something at the store. And it's been amazing for me. So
now she's the author of Heated Rivalry that the very popular TV show is based on. I know there are going to be some people listening who go, wait, how did I miss that? But we are recording this before January 18th, but it's going to be on after that. So I wish I could say, tell me how it went.
No,
we're not in a romantasy, so you can't time travel ahead.
Wish I could.
Yeah. I really, I find that really inspiring that authors like her are responding to the fact that you are someone who is buying into the book business right now and actually investing in authors, whereas so many people are folding up shop. When you talk about independent booksellers, they're sort of saying, I can't fight the huge conglomerates that are, as you say, able to give deep discounts. This podcast is made possible by the support of Charm Diamond Centers. As a proudly Canadian-owned company, they care deeply about shining a light on love. So what is the secret to creating, and I know you're only 12 days in. What is the secret in your mind to creating a business that can survive in spite of all that competition that is, more money based?
Yeah. So, I mean, I do want to say, like, right off the bat, I totally appreciate that budgets are tight. So I would never kind of judge or be disappointed in a customer going to a big box store, an online retailer to get a good sale. I'm here for it. I support that. But what I try to remind people is that with these independent bookstores, the key is that if you take some of your business to them, you're going to keep them going. I don't expect a customer to buy every single book they ever buy from me. I mean, is that the dream? Yes. Is that going to happen? Probably not. So, like I always say, it's the little things that matter. It's saying, hey, I have 4 books on my TBR. I'm going to go get one of them at a local bookstore. That in itself is a huge gesture. And I think as an independent bookstore, my goal personally is to roll with adaptability, because I think if you keep growing, you keep changing, you see where the market is going, you see what your customers are asking for, you be creative. Letting things sit and be stagnant, I think, is what can happen sometimes, just because it's overwhelming to run a business and it's hard to keep up. But for me, I'm going to continue to roll out new things, find new product, find new stories, find ways to keep things fresh and exciting so people don't feel like it's a situation where they've come once and they don't need to come again. And so that's kind of what my mindset is for this.
Well, as a potential patron, I immediately think all I'd have to do is say, I'm not going to have a coffee. I'm not going to buy a coffee that day. I'm happy to spend that money in the difference in a book from an independent bookseller instead of a big box store. So hopefully that'll give someone else the incentive to say the same thing and pay the difference. I would love to know where you'd like to see this going. If you could dream up, write your own story, I should say. What is your own romantasy in terms of where this business goes?
That's a big question. For me, my number one goal is to stay open. I mean, like you said, small businesses are crashing. And the reality is these big box vendors, they take so much of the market. They really do. And even when they've got a lot of the market share, they still want more. And so when these small businesses, like, they don't want us to thrive. So we need to kind of thrive, despite their existence, right? So really the key is trying to figure out what is different, right? What can you do differently? So for me, when I look at these bigger kind of box situations, one thing is that if I'm going to go in and buy a book, a lot of these hardcover books are, like $30, $40, $50. So if I'm going to spend that kind of money in a retail store, I want to feel seen. I want to feel heard. And I want to feel appreciated. So being like, when I go in and somebody says, can I help you find something? And I ask and they say, here it is, buy. Like, to me, that's very transactional. So I want people to feel comfortable to come in and tell me about the book they're reading, tell me what they want in their next book. I want people to know that I remember them and that I appreciate them, and that this space is so much more than just come in, buy your book and leave. I mean, if that's what you want to do. But I think for me, that is the goal and the dream, is to grow this to a point that we can have more staff. We can maybe eventually get a bigger space and host larger events, because right now I'm kind of capped at like 20 people. And the book clubs have been selling out in less than 24 hours. So
you're kidding. That's so
it's
great.
been insane. It's amazing. But, there's so many limitations on having, a small space and being new. And so I think the goal right now is to find my rhythm, learn how to run this in the best way possible, and hear what my customers want, hear what people are looking for, keep up with the books myself. I do a lot of reading, and make sure that this space stays special, stays current, stays ever changing. And in the future, the dream is a bigger space, more books, more stuff, and just keep growing from there.
The customer service you describe really makes me think of getting back to the real world and back to grassroots. And, you said people might just say, oh, here it is. Well, these days, you're very often to encounter customer service and they say over there, and they won't even take you to it. They just point you in that direction. So it's very different when you get to actually engage in conversation and have, as I said, a connection. What feeling do you want people to have when they leave?
I mean, ideally joy,
Yeah.
but a little bit of excitement too. Like, I think if you leave with a book you're excited about, I've done what I set out to do. If you leave feeling like I heard you and I was able to help you, then I've done what I set out to do. If you feel like you were welcomed, if you felt included, if you felt understood, then I did what I set out to do. So my goal is to honor the fact that when it comes to books, especially romance books, everyone's love story is different. Everyone's idea of love is different. And the way that people want to read about it, whether they're reading because it's a story they've lived, or whether they want to experience a love they didn't have, or whether they want to explore something new, like I just want to be there to support that and help them find the right book. And encourage them to read further, because honestly, books are a gift, and there is a reason that books are spiking in popularity, because it brings something back that we've kind of lost, that passion, that creativity, and of course, that connection.
What do you think makes a great love story?
Oh, again, I think that depends on the person. Like for me, I love an epic love. I love would burn the world down for the person you love. I love that kind of passion. But for some people, the story is more subtle than that. It's the little things. It's a real relationship and people working through challenges. For others, it's, two people taking over a kingdom. It just really depends on the reader.
Yes. Okay. So I'm going to actually ask you to do for me what you do for your patrons. I've just walked into your space, your beautiful space that you've created with such love. I'm looking for a book to get me out of the stress of the world and give me a great escape. I'm maybe more romance than fantasy. What are you going to pitch to me?
Okay. Well, my first question is going to be, is fantasy an absolute no for you, or are you open to something with some magical elements?
Sure. I believe in magic.
Okay, good. All right. So is there a book you recently read that you really loved?
I read a beautiful book of letters. It was just it was called The Correspondent, and it was an elderly woman who had been writing letters her whole life. And the whole story is revealed through her letters to other people and through letters from them to her.
Wow. Okay. So are you looking for another book with that kind of emotional kind of chokehold on you?
Always.
Always. Okay. Are you okay with a cry?
Oh, bring it on. I believe in embodying our emotion. Definitely.
Okay, so knowing that, I honestly would actually lean towards maybe like a contemporary romance. So I don't know if you have heard of Rebecca Yarros. She does write fantasy. She's one of my favorite authors, but she also writes contemporary romance. And so she has a book called The Last Letter. And it is a real tearjerker. It's an emotional journey and an ending you won't predict. So that would probably be my recommendation for you.
That is a beautiful thing. I'm glad I asked the question, because your answer made me realize that you are what I think of as an old-fashioned librarian, someone who is a caretaker for all these books and knew, tended the library like a garden. And it was all about guiding people through the garden. And I'm coming out to see you, and I'm going to buy that book, and I'm going to have a great visit with you. And I look forward to hearing more about what other events are you going to be offering? You said events, and I'm like, let's elaborate on that.
Yeah. So keep in mind, we're just starting out. So we rolled out our book clubs first. The way the book clubs work, I call them an adult birthday party. So essentially what we do is we do activities, games, we have some prizes, decor. So we are theming each book. We work with an amazing cafe called Kopi Cafe. They're across the parking lot from us. So I'm there regularly. And so they're working with us to do customized hot and cold beverages for each book. So even the beverages are themed to the books.
Great.
So that's something we've rolled out and are doing. So we've already got January and February sold out, and we're going to be announcing March soon. We are hoping to add a few new things coming up. So one of those things will be book bedazzling, which is definitely for people who are a bit crafty. It's fun, right?
Yeah,
and then
great.
we're going to be adding bookish socials as well. So the goal, like I said, is connection. So we'll do a romance social as well as a fantasy social. And the objective is to be able to create conversation with others that love the same genre of book. We'll explore that through some games, some conversation prompts, meetings, and then we'll add in some things like some drinks and some snacks and some prizes just to kind of make it extra fun.
Erica, I love what you're doing. I love that you're doing it with so much love. And I love that you were willing to share your story with me today.
Thank you so much for having me. I was beyond excited and nervous and scared and terrified, but mostly excited. And this has been so fun. And I genuinely feel like this bookstore has reminded me why I love this province, why I have lived here my whole life. And I am so happy to be able to share these books with everyone in my home province. And I can't wait for you to come visit so I can hook you up with a couple of good books.
And of course, we'll share your business name and the location in any posts that we do, but you might as well tell me right now where to find you.
Yeah, so Realms and Roses Bookstore is located at 2071 Hammonds Plains Road. We are Unit 203, and we are right next to a golf simulator. So if you have somebody who doesn't like books, they can go golf. We are in Hammonds Plains, and the best part, there is no parallel parking. So it's a large parking lot, lots of space.
You know what? I am rooting for Realms and Roses.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Erica.
Okay, take care.
Thanks so much for listening. If you have loved this episode, then why not subscribe, rate, and review Charm's Canadian Love Map? Do you have a love story that you're dying to share, yours or someone else's? Reach out to us at Canadian Love Map on Instagram or Facebook. We'd love to hear your story.